The Rise and Fall of Gurara Capital. Season 1. Episode 4. The Sneaky Snake.
Umar Yusuf was a man who knew how to get what he wanted. He had joined Gurara Capital a little over a year ago, using his political connections to secure a position that many others would have had to work years to earn. Ahmed had grown up in the city, surrounded by people who valued power and influence above all else. He had learned early on that it wasn't about what you knew, but who you knew, and Ahmed knew the right people. His charm, his easy smile, and his ability to talk his way into anything had always served him well. When Ahmed first joined Gurara Capital, he had been assigned to a lower-level role, one that required him to learn the ins and outs of the company. He quickly realized that he didn't have the skills or the knowledge to stand out on his own. But Ahmed wasn't worried. He had never been one to let hard work get in his way. He had his eyes on the top, and he was willing to do whatever it took to get there. After Umar was fired, Ahmed saw an opportunity. He had noticed that people often got confused between him and Umar because they shared the same last name. Ahmed had always found this amusing, but now, it was something he could use to his advantage. Umar had always been the quiet one, the one who stayed in the background, doing the work without drawing attention to himself. Ahmed, on the other hand, knew how to make himself seen. The first time Ahmed took credit for Umar's work, it was almost accidental. He was in a meeting with Sarah Mark, the CEO's daughter, and some of the department heads. They were discussing a report that Umar had worked on before he was let go, a report that had been crucial in identifying a potential risk in the company's investments. Sarah had been impressed by the report, praising the work that had gone into it. She glanced at Ahmed.
Ahmed, you worked on this report, didn't you?
She asked. For a moment, Ahmed hesitated. He could have corrected her, could have told her that it was Umar who had done the work. But then he saw the opportunity in front of him, and he took it. "Yes, Miss Mark," he said, nodding. "I worked on it with Umar before he left. I'm glad you found it useful." Sarah smiled.
It's excellent work. We need more people like you, Ahmed.
Ahmed felt a surge of satisfaction. It had been so easy, so natural. He had taken credit for Umar's work, and no one had questioned it. From that moment on, Ahmed began to look for other ways to claim the credit that should have been Umar's. He went through Umar's old files, familiarizing himself with the work Umar had done, the reports he had written, the problems he had solved. Whenever there was a question about something Umar had worked on, Ahmed stepped in, acting as if it had been his own. The confusion between their names only helped Ahmed's cause. People assumed that Ahmed was just picking up where Umar had left off, that he was continuing the work that had already been started, and Ahmed made sure to encourage that assumption. He spoke confidently in meetings, used the knowledge he had gained from Umar's files to impress his colleagues, and slowly but surely, he began to gain Sarah's trust. Sarah, for her part, was eager to find someone she could rely on. She had been struggling since Umar's departure, trying to implement the changes she believed would make the company more efficient. Ahmed seemed like the perfect solution. Someone who was willing to work hard, who understood the company, who was eager to take on more responsibility. She began to give him more tasks, more opportunities to prove himself, and Ahmed took them all, his confidence growing with each success. But not everyone was convinced by Ahmed's sudden rise. Aisha, one of the analysts who had worked closely with Umar, couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She had known Umar well, had seen the way he worked, the way he approached problems. Ahmed's style was different, too flashy, too eager to take credit. Aisha had noticed the way Ahmed spoke in meetings, the way he seemed to know things that only Umar would have known. It didn't sit right with her. One afternoon, Aisha was in the break room when she overheard Ahmed talking to another colleague. He was boasting about the report that had impressed Sarah, talking about how he had identified the risk and come up with a solution. Aisha frowned, her suspicion growing. She knew that report had been Umar's work. She had seen him staying late in the office, going over the numbers again and again until he was sure he had it right. Ahmed had never been part of that process. He was lying, and Aisha knew it. Aisha decided to confront Ahmed. She waited until he was alone in the break room, then walked over. "Ahmed, can I talk to you for a minute?" she asked. Ahmed looked up. "Sure, Aisha. What's up?" "I've been hearing a lot about the work you've been doing," Aisha said. "The reports, the solutions, it all sounds very familiar, almost like the work Umar used to do." Ahmed's smile returned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Well, Umar and I worked closely together before he left. I guess I've just picked up where he left off." Aisha shook her head. No, Ahmed, I was there. I saw Umar working on those reports, solving those problems. You weren't part of it. You're taking credit for his work, and you know it. Ahmed's expression darkened. He stood up, stepping closer to Aisha with his voice low. Watch what you're saying, Aisha. Umar is gone. I'm here now, and I'm doing what needs to be done. If you have a problem with that, maybe you should think about where your loyalties lie. Aisha felt a chill run down her spine, but she didn't back down. I know the truth, Ahmed, and one day, everyone else will too. Ahmed watched her for a moment, then turned and walked away. As he left the break room, he had come too far to let someone like Aisha ruin everything. He had worked too hard to build his reputation, to gain Sarah's trust. He wasn't going to let anyone take that away from him. Later that evening, as Ahmed sat in his apartment, he thought about what Aisha had said. He knew she was right, that he was taking credit for work that wasn't his. But Ahmed had never cared much about honesty. To him, the ends justified the means. He wanted power, influence, recognition. And if that meant bending the truth, then so be it. In his mind, he was doing what needed to be done to survive, to succeed. He knew that as long as he kept Sarah on his side, as long as he continued to impress her, no one else's opinion mattered. Honesty was for people who weren't willing to do whatever it took to get ahead. Ahmed had no such limitations. He was willing to lie, to manipulate, to deceive, all in the name of success. And as far as he was concerned, that made him smarter, stronger, and better than everyone else. But deep down, there was a small part of Ahmed that wondered how long he could keep this up. How long before someone else, someone more powerful than Aisha, saw through his lies? How long before the truth caught up with him? Ahmed pushed the thought aside, refusing to dwell on it. He had come this far, and he wasn't about to let fear hold him back. For now, Ahmed was the rising star of Gurara Capital, and he intended to keep it that way, no matter what it took.